see, it's loading. I've had to learn this stuff. Okay. We're
Okay.
live now. We're on YouTube. So I'm going to take that off. And all righty then. Great. Well, I'm gonna. Maybe I'll let you introduce yourself and let us know how you met and how you've been doing and whatever you want to say to us about your progress.
Okay. Well, I'm Yukari, and I've met Christopher by the grace of God. I think I was blessed because at that time, well, he wasn't my husband yet, but at that time, I'm not sure we were not engaged yet. Yeah. So I had taken my then boyfriend, which is my husband now, to get help at a place where Christopher used to work. And my husband was there for drug addiction, trying to get himself stabilized with that, his depression, anxiety, which eventually unraveled to be PTSD and chronic depression. And so I was, trying so hard to want to help my husband battle his drug addiction, that I started building some communication with Christopher. And throughout the whole process, I was learning through him. He was, I guess, by talking, like teaching me, making me aware of things, and also learning, through life process, what drug addiction is about, because I did not know anything about it, why it was what it was. I learned from the reasons of, like, emotional trauma and all sorts of things that come along with it. And so throughout the whole time, while I was too busy trying to help my husband fix himself and get him to where he wanted to be, Christopher, the nice person that he is, was actually looking out for me without me even knowing. As I was stated earlier, you were being sneaky in a good way. And you had told me that I was really good at that I could be a substance abuse counselor, because I was good at how I handled the situation with my husband. And so I'm not sure if you meant that, or it was just another little thing that you did for me to uncover myself. And so I did. I went to school for it. And while I was in there, I did go through some stuff that really triggered me. And Christopher was there to guide me more in learning. And eventually, while I was in class, we went through the subject of family dysfunction, and everything unraveled. And I realized that I was an ACA child, adult child of alcoholics or dysfunctional families. And one of my husband's relapses, I hit what they call on the ACA people rock bottom, because I realized now even more that every decision that I made in my life had me where I was at now, with being a single parent at that time, through certain parts of my life, of 3 children, and then being married and now to someone who's a drug addict in recovery. But I do believe that God places people in life as a life journey, and he knows what he places in there to help each other. And like I said, if it wasn't for my husband, I wouldn't have met Christopher. And I want to be where I'm at right now. So so for, like, while my husband was in rehab in South Texas, I was in Pennsylvania, and I would go to ACA meetings daily, back to back, and have a long, extensive therapy with Christopher. I mean, he will always, Christopher, you always told me, like, are you ready for what I'm going to do? It's going to be really strong. It's going to hit you. And I remember I was just like, I don't care. Like, just give it to me. I'll handle it. Like I'll do it now. Like, you know, even if it costs me a lot of like our therapies left me so much like, well, I would fall asleep 3 hours later because it was so much to absorb and deal with the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm aware about a lot of stuff now. And you helped me with my kids too when they needed
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about that?
You know, it's not easy to deal with someone in a household who's going through drug addiction recovery, and but um it's the thing is like you can't blame everything on just that sole person, because there was already a dysfunction that was like quivering in there before all this happened, and this just kind of just made it burst all out. And you know, it's at the end of it, it's like you know, I went through, yeah, I like I had went to an NA meeting and they had told me you're one of the smart ones, because I did try the whole drug thing when I was younger. When I was 17, I had an overdose and I never again did that. So they told me I was one of the smart ones, but that was just me making a right choice at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I made the wrong choices through picking friends and partners that eventually I learned through Christopher, and then all these other things that I'm learning, that it's feelings that we get, whether they're, you know, hate, anger, um, pity, self-worthiness, or feeling like we're not loved, that we grow up feeling that as children in our household. And then when we get old, you know, while we're in teenagers, we're like, we're not going to be like our parents. We're going to be different. Well, you might not be like them, or maybe you do end up like them. But those that don't end up like them because you don't want to be like them, like I was,
Mm-hmm.
don't end up like them. But we do other things
Right.
to keep that emotional feeling that we had as children to feel the same. That little,
Right.
for me, it wasn't hate, it wasn't anger, it was like little burning sensation of feeling unloved, unwanted, or like never understood, or being pushed. Like growing up with my dad, he wasn't like an alcoholic 24/7, but he was an alcoholic, well, maybe like that before I was born. But by the time I was already old, it was kind of like alcoholic on the weekends, or seeing arguing with my mom and some other crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it affected me because I realized that my dad was emotionally unavailable to me as a child, to me and my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was a very good person, and she still is, you know, but she was very codependent. Um, but that don't think that much affected me much. It affected her. I think it just affected the whole dynamics of the cycle within the
Mm-hmm.
household. I would say that because of her, I make right choices to not be a messed up mom and be out there and hoeing around and drinking. And throughout my whole lifetime, I did go through binges, but it never got to the point where I went and became an alcoholic, because I somehow in the back of my mind, I stopped me because I did not say, remember, I did not want to be like my dad. But yeah, it was hard because my dad went through a lot of things too, and so I forgive him. That's part of the ACA, is that it's a family dysfunction created from generations. And Christopher told me he was proud of me for
Yes.
wanting to break that.
Yes.
Um, I am at this point, it's like I'm a vigilant on what I'm about myself. I am still keep on trying to work. I stand by my kids and I stand by my husband, because they're human too and they need to be helped. But only you can help yourself, and only we can have, you know, so much that when enough is enough. But I am where I'm at now, and just because, you know, I'm I don't know, I'm just trying to do the best thing that I can. When it comes to my kids, I keep on trying to warn them, like, go to AC-18 meetings, sometimes I don't see it. They think it's all because of the husband, but it's not necessarily all him. I keep on trying to tell them this thing lingers back to from me. It was sneaking in very light, like a little slight door. It's little minor dysfunctions through the grandparents. And I forgave my dad. I've told him. My mom is still in denial about it. My dad just doesn't care. He's too narcissistic. He's the greatest narcissistic person, but I forgive him because he went through a lot as a child. Um, um, uh, yeah, I try to tell my kids to go to AC-18 so that they can fix themselves. And I'm being honest, I'm a good mom. Like I said, I'm not out there horning around. I'm not drinking. I don't do drugs. I do things for them. But my parenting skills, such as the way we handled emotions or situations in life, are not practical. And this is where Christopher comes in and helping me, and ACA, and I'm being very blunt with my children. Like, I am your mother. I am a good mother, but my parenting skills were not taught to me as in an emotional way as a young child. So I need you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
I need you to learn to reparent yourself along with me at the same time, because I'm doing that. And if you can do this before you hit adulthood, it will make things much more easier. If not, you're going to be stuck like me in a long journey to learn how to reparent yourself and correct the behaviors that you learned as a child or a teenager. They're not listening. It's very difficult, but I keep on trying.
Right.
That's all I can do. Keep on trying to open that in them. Like, I keep on trying to help my husband with his addiction, even though they say you can't help them, they have to help themselves. I just can't give up because those are my loved ones. I think, now, of course, it takes a toll on me where I'm starting to get physically sick. Then that's when I have to think for myself and I would have to leave. But as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do for themselves and the family, I'm going to keep on being there. Um, and, you know, Christopher has, you know, he has a lot of heart in this. I could tell he's not like um, other counselors. I mean, I would honestly think you are considered to me better than freaking psychiatrists. You're like a psychiatrist without being able to prescribe the medications. Because I've had a psychiatrist before and I've had other counselors, and I do have another counselor. I have a family counselor. She's pretty good, but she is not to the level that you're at, Christopher. Um, um, it's it's pretty hard, and I think nobody's perfect. We all go through our family problems or our own problems, and I think everyone, no matter where you at, still are dealing with it, even if you're in a good position.
Yes.
But it's to my learning is sometimes we don't realize our problems, because like I said, I was very blind. I just thought, why did this always happen to me? Keep on getting fucked over, betrayed. I don't believe in friends. I believe in acquaintances because I've always been hurt. So it's it was hard, but if you really do want to help yourself, you have to be open to do it. and actually want to do it. If you don't want to do it, they're not going to be able to help you. No one can. But like I said, when we were doing our therapy, I would tell you, just give it to me, Christopher. Lay it out on me. Like, I'll take it, because I really did want the help. I felt hopeless, and I just wanted to help. But yeah, you do care, because you cared for me.
And, I'd like to say that a lot of times when, we need help, it's very difficult to reach out, and it's difficult to be vulnerable, right? And especially in those times when we don't know what to do, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to feel. There's anger. There's sometimes health issues that crop up because of the stress. And so that's when I think it's so important to do what you did. And I want to commend you on it, Yukari, because it's so important. Dig deep. And then you have to go into, working with a counselor, therapist with courage and with determination like you, and saying, I'm not going to repeat the cycle, right? I'm going to do something different. And that's, I think, when change is, you're poised for the change now. And it's not enough to say, I'm tired of things happening the way they are. I say that you have to have some action and intention behind that, right? And you did that, and you're doing that. And so that, I think, is commendable. Also with your kids and with any teenager, it's difficult because they're developing their own mind, right? Their own way. And a lot of times you don't think they're listening, and you can't tell by watching them, because in your house, they're not acting like the way you want them to. They're defiant because that's their nature, right? And so you end up, doing things that you may not be proud of. Heck, I've got a 13-year-old daughter, and I can attest to that whole bit. Here I'm a therapist, and here I am dealing with the same stuff that you're talking about with child rearing. It is difficult, but the thing that to remember, and I want to encourage you and everybody listening with regard to parenting, is this: all you can do is preach and teach, right? And it's up to your child to actually do the work. Now, I want to say that it's in the nature, right, of a teenager to say, I don't care, to act like they don't want to listen to you. But I want to say this to you, and they'll never admit it to you, but I'm going to tell y'all this. This is a secret to working with teenagers. And that's this: have a thick skin, right? And keep on preaching, keep on teaching, even when you think they're not listening. They are. And they will apply whatever you plant. I call these seeds, the seeds that you're planting, Yukari, to everybody else listening, the seeds that you're planting, right? About their mental health and all of that. Guess what? They're going to put that into practice when you least expect it, and it'll shock you. It will shock you. So be prepared to be shocked. When you plant, this is a spiritual law. When you plant, sow seeds like you're doing, those seeds will come up, and they will come up 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, right? And so I would encourage you and everybody else listening, hey, keep on keeping on, right? Not to be cliche, but push, And it's easy to get discouraged. Pray about it. Just give it to God, because the truth is, hey, you can only do what you can.
Like it is hard because it's like, for example, say I'm still, I have to catch myself, I've always been, like I said, like my mom and my dad's like the opposite. So I grew up with a balance of unbalance. I don't know if that makes sense. What gave me, like, say, for example, why I have really good morals was because of my mom. Why do I'm good? Because of my mom. And then, why I could be very cold. Once I'm done with people, I can be very cold and I'll cut you off like nothing, you never existed. And my dad, the strength, my dad. And so like, it's hard for me because it's like, I think that balance somehow worked with me, even though it was not right. It messed me up. So like, say, for example, like my middle child, he's like really messy and he starts retaliating and he's the one that's going through a lot of problems right now. And I think you might need a session with him sometime next week because
Okay.
and we kind of argued, and I I'm more like my mom. My sister is like my dad. Like I grew up with my dad calling me piece of shit or son of a bitch, or I never liked my little princess. And so so my sister talks like that to her kids, like never, like she gets mad so easily. I am against it because of how I was raised with my dad. I want to be more like my mom, right? But then like the other day I got so frustrated. I'm like, you little piece of shit. And he's like, you called me that. I was like, well, you're not really a piece of shit. But if you act like it, I'm talking about this hypothetical version that you acting like one. I am sorry. I kind of like, I feel bad that I said it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I feel like me saying that to him, maybe it might just make him wake up a little bit and see how much he's pushing me to say something that I normally don't do because it's causing so much pain and stress in me, which I think it's already starting a dysfunction. I'm trying to catch myself, like I say, reparenting. And but it's like I didn't want to tell him that. It's just he really is out of control. And like I said, I'm like really against it because of how my dad would talk to me, but it's like I feel bad about it. And then I'm like, well, was it okay for me to say that to him to like make him realize things? And am I supposed to feel bad about it? Or is that part of me having like, no, don't feel bad about it. He's acting like that. He needs to realize what he's doing wrong. I am confused on that right now.
Okay. Look, Lowell, I can help you right now live with this. We have to remember that we as parents are not superhuman. You're not Superwoman. I'm not Superman. We're not perfect, right? And so understanding that, and by the way, letting your kids know that, which I heard you say that, right? That you let your kids know that you're not perfect and you do make mistakes, which is super important. Okay. That's a good foundation, right? Now, I'm going to mention to you rupture and repair process, right? And you did it beautifully. So I want to illustrate it right quick. When you do something or say something like that, right? Because we're going to do it. We're going to say it. I'm just going to tell you all the truth. Then the most important thing to do is to immediately repair the rupture. Okay. And so when you say to your son or your daughter, you're a piece of shit or whatever, then immediately come to yourself, right? And repair. So that's the rupture. Repair is, hey, Johnny, I'm so sorry. Sally Sue, daddy's under a lot of pressure. Mommy's under pressure. And I apologize for what's going on, what's been said. I'm frustrated and I'm looking for the right words to say. This time I used the wrong words. Please forgive me. I messed up. And that's a repair, right? And so the sooner you can do that, now this is going to be interesting what I'm about to tell you. The sooner you can make that repair, and this also works with spouses also, right? Then that repair or the rupture repair process, get this, it actually strengthens the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It strengthens a relationship. What causes relationships to break and disintegrate, right? Is when we rupture. So we have an argument, a fight, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then there's no repair. Or we wait a week to repair the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by that time, you've got things cemented in, and there's going to be a more difficult time to repair that. And that's when the resentment set in and
Mm-hmm.
other things that you don't want. So no matter what happens, right? Under pressure, human beings can do all kinds of things, say all kinds of things we really don't mean. Repair as quickly as possible. That's the key.
Yeah.
And that way you can work through whatever happened. Maybe it's time to, sit down and just talk about what happened, right? That's another aspect of repair, right? And so, and I always say this, own up to your shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Own up to your shit, because we all got it, so own up to it. Kids know when we're lying, as
Mm-hmm.
parents and adults. Kids know when we're I did a podcast the other day. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's called Being an Authentic Person. And a part of being authentic is just calling a spade, as my mother would say. You know, if you screwed up, just say it. I screwed up,
Well, yeah,
kid.
because it's like, yeah, because like when I said that to him, it wasn't like, you could hear that, you can actually hear when somebody tells you like a piece of shit with anger and hate, and somebody
Sure.
who says it with just like frustration and like, mine was more like frustration. Trust me, because I could hear when sometimes when my dad would say it to us, you could hear either it was anger or hate, because my dad could
Mm-hmm.
really hate us. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't have those kind of, I don't know how he did it, but I guess he just got through. Like I said, he went through a lot, very sad childhood, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and so like, it's then I have that little side of me where it's like we talked about, I just want someone to love me for me,
Mm-hmm.
or accept me for me. I don't have to like lift a finger and move and show them why I'm worth of love or liking me or accepting me, but just to see it without me having to go out of my way. So it kind of goes the same with my kids. Like I don't want them to know what they did wrong because they feel pity or they feel bad seeing me sad or seeing me this, but I want them to actually realize and actually just know, which might sound weird, but know that, hey, mom, I'm sorry because I know I was wrong. I shouldn't do this to you
Mm-hmm.
because I love you, not because I feel bad that I hurt your feelings and now you're crying. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
that makes any sense what I'm saying? I
It
don't
makes
want to.
sense. It makes all the sense. And I want to say that, when you're being authentic like that, right? With someone else, even with yourself, that that holds a lot of power and influence. Uh, and so when we walk in that, right, and we practice it, it really carries a lot of weight. I will even use the word transformational, right? And so
Mhm.
when we're doing that, that literally will transform a relationship. I would say in the affirmative, in the positive. And so these are good tools to use. These are good practices to use, because honestly, kids need to see that their parents are human, right?
Mhm.
And by doing that process that you mentioned, that's a real good way to say, hey, I'm human. I'm apologize. I did mess up. Let's work on our relationship. But like, kids will appreciate that, and they will mean a lot more to them than you taking this other road and saying, do what I say, not as I do type of thing. That doesn't work, right? That creates separation. And I think you did well with that scenario. I think you're doing well as a parent, and, as a client, you're really working towards getting better. That process never ends. And so I want to encourage you. I guess we should wrap. but I want to encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing, right? Keep using those skills. I think you're doing a good job. And, this isn't an easy process. It's not easy. A lot of people run, run like hell from people like me to therapists, because they don't want to deal with.
But it's
Oh,
wonderful. It's like, it's exciting and it's wonderful. Like, I know it sounds very painful and scary, and it's easier to just not face it, but you're just gonna end up still stuck in sadness. And sure, you might still feel I'm still going through the process of frustration. Like, I'm still dealing with my mom and being in her denial, and like, oh, you this, you that, the kids this, and the husband and this, and it's like, okay, well, like she said earlier, like, how you can do that, and I was like, well, you're talking about me. Well, why did you not marry my dad? He showed up to the altar drunk. That should have been the red flag, and we weren't born yet, and so I called her out on it, and she didn't like it, so it's like, but it's like, I'm not trying to be mean to her. I'm just trying to tell her, like, she's like, I'm not a bad mom. So I never said you were a bad mom, but I said the fact that my grandmother was mean to you and pushed you away for love. My dad came into your life, and it was the perfect hailstorm. The most codependent person and the most messed up person. It was like, it just created a cycle. You might have not been a good mother, but we learned of emotional ways of like living life that is not right. And you're a good woman. You've never drank, you've never done anything. You've always been a woman of your home and your kids, and we were always your life. You took care of us. I appreciate it. I said to her, today, this happened today. It was very stressful. Like, and they keep on blaming me or try to knick-knack little things or make it seem like they always try to get the smallest thing to put it out there that trying to like downsize me, or like I'm a problem, or just create something that is not even there. And I told her, I said, no, I said, you're doing the same thing my middle one is doing. I'm not saying you're a bad person or I'm putting faults. I'm telling you, you got a problem. I told her, like I told you and my dad weeks ago, like months ago in that table, I forgive you. You've got a problem. You need to fix it. Don't try to tell me things about me, because I'm trying to fix myself right now. Don't spotlight on me. I'm just telling you, you have a problem. You got to fix it, because I'm fixing mine, and I don't need you to bring things to my table, because I'm just going to stop you and clear it out right there. And it seems like we're fighting. And then she tries to do the whole, I feel sick now. The doctor told me to be in peace. I said, nah. Well, you want to be in peace? Start working on yourself, because
right.
it's a dysfunction. And I have to like put a stop to it. So I'm dealing with that, dealing with the kids, dealing with the husband. But it's like, I mean, you know what? You got to deal with it. And if you didn't deal with it, then life would be very fucking boring.
Yeah.
I'm learning of my life journey, and I'm just happy. And yeah, if there's anybody out there who's an ACA or even NA or AA, I'm an ACA. From my perspective as an ACA, it's always good to have a counselor who's very well aware of like family dysfunction, drug addictions, or any kind of addiction, or therapy, trauma, like Christopher. Yeah, I think I was blessed that God sent angels to my side to have met you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And God bless you and care for you and your family as always. And thank you for your wonderful testament today.
All right.
All right.